Now who wanna move closer on? Now who wanna move out on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah, we got 'em, yeah, we fought 'em. Like that black and orange up on 'em, bingo on 'em, never stop it. To the beast and on 'em. Who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen, we gon' show the world.
What's up, everybody? This is Ted Karras for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cincy Hat, and you're watching Bengals and Brews.
Yeah, you're finally watching Bengals and Brews. I don't know what's going on. I'm even getting some feedback still in my earphones. I got a new mic, new earbuds, but it's all going to shit. But we're here, so we'll do what we can.
We are here. In fact,
got a rum mix. I'm probably gonna feel better once I start drinking it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk O-line today. That should be interesting. We'll start off with your O-line 10. I'll let you talk about. I believe it is Jaden Roberts from Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess before I even get into him, just out of like curiosity for you, do you, when you put these guys up here, are you just like throwing all of them kind of like with a grade, or are you taking positional value into some account? Because I know Parker gets a little upset when the positional value conversation comes up. But are you like kind of taking that into account a little bit?
Yeah, because we're doing O-line in general. So I think you have to a little bit. So for me, it's like, yeah, I'm going to like the guy I have at 10 is a center, and it's the only center I have on my list. I think he's a good player, but I mean, the NFL views these guys the same way. You know, a lot of them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I was just like, for the people out there, I was hoping to put some clarity to that, because that's how mine is set up. I've got a couple more interior players in here than most because I like the center class a lot.
It's a good class.
Yeah. So I can start right away with Jaden Roberts, redshirt senior, Alabama. Dude is like the first thing you'll notice about him is how he is built. I think I heard a stat last year. He had like 5% body fat. I don't know if that's true or not, but he looks like a comedically oversized edge rusher. Like if you were to like take NCAA, design a player, and you know how you can like, you know, make them large. It looks like if you took like Myles Garrett even, and then just like made him a little bit bigger and a little bit wider, because this guy's built different. And he's on top of that, he's probably like the strongest player in this year's draft class. He's Brute Feldman Freaks list last year. I've got the numbers right here. He can squat over 800 pounds, bench over 500 pounds. This dude is like a weight room warrior. If you ask anyone in Alabama's locker room, they will say hands down Jaden Roberts is like the strongest guy in the team, bar none. So he comes in, he's my guard one. So this is kind of like where the top of mine starts for those guys for like that guard position. I got a couple centers I'll be talking about after him. But he's just like, he's got all the tools to him. He has technique things he needs to clean up. He dunks his head way too much. And his feet can be a little bit slower, but I think ultimately he made the right decision returning for this year, because I think he can clean a lot of those things up.
I think I have him around like guard 4 or 5, which it isn't bad, but it's just, no. I think I'm being a little cautious because summer scouting last year, he was a guy I had as my guard 1. And I was like, very excited about him. So I'm being a little cautious with this guy. I want to see him clean up some stuff. But yeah, all the athleticism in the world. The guy who's had to earn it there at Alabama, getting on the field a couple seasons ago. And now, you know, a ton of experience now entering his third year, at least part-time starter a couple years ago, and then full-time starter last year. My number 10 is also sticking with Alabama, and it's center Parker Brailsford. Don't know how big he is. That's the biggest question facing him. Obviously, but I have him listed at 6'2", 290. If he's up to 290, that's huge for him, because that's a big part of it. When he's listed at 270, 275, it's like you can't play in the NFL at that size on the offensive line. But if he's 290,
I'll say you can point to Kelsey all you want, but like he was even bigger than that, and there's one Kelsey out there in the world.
Yeah, just a freak athlete though at the position. Also entering a third year as a starter, as a true junior. So he's played a ton of football. He was originally at Washington. Last year he was at Alabama. when Coach DeBoer moved. He didn't allow a sack, gave up only 7 pressures total in the entire season. Quick off the snap, blocks well on the move. The size, the biggest question mark. I also like Jake Slaughter, but I do have Brailsford as my center 1, but it's close because I like both those guys at center. And he's got another year of eligibility, so we'll see if he even comes out. And I still think he's undersized, so if he could add more weight, if he can get up around 300 before he declares, whether that's this year or next year, I think that'll be big for his draft position. But there's a lot I like with this guy, high football IQ, just everything you want in a center and leader in the middle of the line, I like. And he's very aggressive, but he does need to clean up penalties. That's one thing that's been a problem. He's had 12 over the last 2 seasons, and I did notice susceptible to some inside counter moves at times can get him as well. But overall, I like Brailsford as my center number 1 and my only center on this list.
So he comes in, he's center 4 for me. So obviously I hate him, and I think he's undraftable. No, I think you nailed it. The size is something, and I think the detriment of the size is him in run blocking. I really struggle to see him being an effective run blocker. A lot of those things had to be, where he's double teaming guys, and which the center is going to do a lot of anyway. So, it's not like it's a huge knock, but I think that he really struggles to move guys off their spot. Really, in kind of any of those, he can wall off really well. He can move to the second level, but he's not going to be a people mover. And to the point where, like, hey, you're probably needing to help him out in that regard. But he's a phenomenal pass blocker, and I definitely see all those things. And I really like him. It just goes to like what I said right away. Like, I think this is one of the best center classes of the last decade.
Yeah, and you have a center next, Connor Liu, a guy who I need to watch more of. I have him with 2027 because he's another younger guy. But
he is.
Tell us about Connor Liu and why you're high on him.
Yeah, so I like his build, 6'3", 302. So kind of what you were saying, you want to see Brailsford get up to. I think he's got that really good build to him. You don't want a interior offensive lineman, especially a center, to be too tall. So I think that 6'3" comes in really well with that. And I think he's got some good mass to him. This dude is when I look at the offensive line, I want high IQ players. And when I look at the center position, I definitely want a high IQ player. He 2-time SEC academic honor roll, 4.0 high school GPA, brings the intelligence factor that you want to it. He was a high school wrestler, which you love to see when you're talking about a lineman. Anytime I see that, that's a huge star for it. So the IQ I have written down, just his ability as a true sophomore, I'm watching him make these pre-snap adjustments at SEC football and do it at a really, really high level. Only gave up 1 sack last year, 3 penalties. So kind of okay in both of those regards. Once again, I really like the competition he's playing against and how he's able to, stand in there, fearless in there. And then I just think the athleticism really jumps off the page for him. I think he moves extremely well in space. I don't think now, like I said, a little bit shorter frame in the wrestling background. I like to see that, but I didn't necessarily see it come through in his tape, in his film. I didn't see the leverage as much. I didn't see him really being able to get underneath guys and kind of, go toe to toe with them in that sense. So it was a little bit of not a catch-22, but I was a little confused when I see the pieces that I want, but it doesn't translate to the film. He's probably going to be a center only just with the size to him. And then he can lunge at times. I think that's something he can clean up with, some coaching and just his ability to get better, stronger throughout, where he doesn't feel like he needs to, put his whole mass behind it. But Connor Liu's a player I really, really like. I know that he's kind of all over the place, I'd say, in terms of where people view him. And he's, like you said, a younger guy anyways. He's only a true junior. So he's got a lot of football that he can still play ahead of him.
Yeah, we'll see how he does this year. How does my audio sound? Because
it sounds great. Dale, you sound as crisp as a morning dove.
All right.
I step up for my coffee.
I really can't tell. It's weird. I don't know what's going on with the headphones. It's throwing me off, but it's like I'm not getting what I normally get. So I just want to make sure it wasn't real crackly or staticky.
No, you sound great.
Okay. All right. So my next guy is a guard, Caden Green from Missouri, 6'5", 316. I think he plays with really good patience. as a pass blocker. He recognizes stunts and blitzes really well. Another young guy, I don't think he would have to declare. He doesn't turn 21 until November. I think he's a junior. I don't have that written down, but the fact he's only 20 right now, and he was pretty solid last year, allowing only 1 sack. And that 1 sack was actually for the last 2 seasons that he's played. I think he's got a stout anchor. I think he blocks pretty well on the move and at the second level. I do see some balance concerns at times, and I think he struggled against guys with elite quickness on the interior. He could be guys could get him, that were the quicker guys on the interior of the D line. But I like Caden Green. He's a guy who I've kind of gone back and forth on. I have him as my guard 2 now, but times in the past, when the process started, I did kind of have him as my guard 1. But I like the nasty of another guy I'll talk about who's my guard 1, and the reason I put him over Green. But I think Green is probably a better pass blocker, and the other guy's just more of a nasty mauler, but can pass block too. But I don't want to say too much on him. Then we both have the same number 8 coming up.
Oh, so, nice.
Isaiah World, who is transferring from Nevada to Oregon. I'll let you talk about Isaiah World, who's just a big dude, basketball background, a couple things I like, and I'll let you talk about him first, then
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of surprised we have someone the same, especially with this big of a player pool to pull from. So with Isaiah World, redshirt senior, Nevada to Oregon, 6'8", 309 pounds. So like he's tall, he doesn't necessarily have that large amount of girth. I think he's built well though. He's not a beanpole by any means, but you definitely see a player that has, in my opinion, I think he could put on a little more weight, but I think his calling card is his athleticism. I think he moves extremely quickly. I don't think so. Here's the thing, and I almost compare it to who was the tackle out of Minnesota last year that everyone was super high on, like midway through the season. I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, me too.
There was a player last year. I thought he moved well enough to like get out and cover space and all those things, but I didn't think it looked pretty. And I think that's how I feel about Isaiah World. I've written down that I think that he I'm trying to make sure I get the right guy. He can be clunky. It looks clunky to me. It's effective, but it just doesn't look pretty. And I don't know if it's because he's 6'8" and he's kind of lanky. It's tough to look, fluid at that size. But the results are undeniable. He is extremely quick, and he can cover a lot of space in a short amount of time. Reacts fairly well to counters. Now, one of the bigger things also against them is going to be his hands placement, and they can get a little wide. He does struggle with penalties, holding, and I think he's got 2 or 3 unnecessary roughness penalties against him last year. So a couple of things that you look at there, but definitely a player, just the athleticism makes you want to bet on him. I don't know what you thought about him as well.
Ariante Ursary. It was driving me nuts because I'm like, I can think of the guy, but the name was just nowhere. So I had to look it up.
Ariante Ursary. He was like, he had this like clunky kick slide to him, but he got the job done, and he did. I think ultimately he was like a top 50 player for me. It just looked weird. So that was kind of who it reminded me of.
But yeah, he's got to cut down on the penalties for Isaiah World. He's had 32 in 3 seasons, prove himself against the higher level of competition. But the basketball background, the feet, the athleticism, the length is what I like about him and why I think he could be a big riser this year. He's a guy who could get in the top 50. But for me, it's another one of those. And this is going to be a recurring thing throughout this cycle and probably for years to come. You're going to have so many guys coming up from smaller competition through the transfer portal that I'm going to be just a little lower on them until I see them at the higher level of competition. But ultimately, I think it'll be good because we'll see more guys playing a higher level of competition, and we'll be able to judge them when the draft actually rolls around because they got a full season in. So I'm excited about his potential. I think he could be a bookend left tackle type of player, but he's got a lot of things to clean up. Definitely got to get better as a run blocker. But the feet, the athleticism, the length are all pluses for a pass blocker that could be a top 50 type of player when all is said and done.
So I don't want to spoil your list, but like just talking about that, do you have Ethan Onianwa in your top 10?
He is ninth on my O tackle list, but he is not
Okay.
in this top 10. So because we're including guards and centers for anybody
Correct.
just tuning in. So this is full offensive line, but he is in my top 10. But a similar thing, right? Coming
Yep,
from Rice.
that's what
just a
made me
big
think of it.
And I like him, but I got to see it. So I'm a little,
Yep.
waiting to see with those guys. There's a lot of guys I feel like who have proven more. And I got a couple surprises, tackles that are ahead of Isaiah World and him that I don't see a lot of people have as high as I do. But next on the list, you've got a center and a Jake Slaughter from Florida who PFF number wise, amazing.
Oh, he's stellar. So this is last year I was really down on Jake Slaughter, and I kind of revised the way that I judge and I look at players and I evaluate them. And I don't know why I was, because like everything that I value as like kind of scouting these guys, he's like checking the boxes left and right for me. I think like, and I know you mentioned he's like a very close to.
Yeah, he's right there with Brailsford for, I think both of them could. I think one guy typically at center typically has a chance to maybe be a first round pick. And I think both of them are in the conversation to be that one guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think like right now, Jake Slaughter, and I haven't watched any defensive backs. So it's not like a hard, absolutely, he's right here, but like he's number 29. And you got to obviously fill in DB, so he'll probably slide back, I would say, like 6 to 8 spots. But yeah, that's that. You're in the mid 30s right there, so you're definitely flirting with that. But the reason that I like Jake Slaughter is, number one, you look at his height and weight. He's 6'4", 308. He's built really well for the position. I have written down, I think he could easily flex into a guard role, like you think like a la Cam Jurgens. And I think Cam Jurgens kind of did it last year. And not last year, 2 years ago, because the Eagles had just no one else they could trust. I think Jake Slaughter could play it and play it very comfortably. But he's another player to me that high IQ, 3-time SEC all academic honor roll. Like he's the one you want calling out your protection packages. He's the guy that you want really being the leader of that group, because he's so incredibly smart. He understands what he's doing. He's got a great size and build to it, and he's got so much experience. He's got over 1,300 snaps, all at center, 2 years as a starter in that system. And, once again, this is SEC football we're talking about. He's going up against the biggest, the fastest, the strongest guys out there. And he's doing it you saw last year with All-American first team, like number 1 overall center in the country as far as like the Associated Press was concerned. So I think he moves really well beyond those pieces. I think he reaches the second level well. I think he's got the play strength to hold up. It's not like a calling card of his, but it hits the threshold that I want to see. I've just written down that he struggles to continuously move his feet throughout blocks. Like I want to see him kind of develop it a little bit more. Like I hate a guy that the minute they lock on, their feet just go, planted to the ground. You're never going to win that way. And it's the sustainability for a block standpoint. And also just like continuously utilizing your momentum at which you met the guy with. But I think once again, he's such a smart player where, you can coach those things. You can get those things to kind of continue to develop. If the strength is like the one thing about his game that it's okay, but everything else is stellar and coachable, like sign me up. That's why I have him as center number 1, and like interior offensive lineman number 1 for this class.
Yeah, and the guy I have as my interior offensive lineman number 1 is Armaj Reed Adams. He's an older prospect, I believe, a 6-year guy, 6'5", 330 though. So you're talking about a big, thick dude at guard. He plays right guard. I think he blocks well on the move. Nasty finisher. Like that's something that just stands out. He wants to put a guy into the bleachers when he's blocking them, and that excites the hell out of me when I see an offensive lineman that way. Sometimes I probably bump guys up a little higher and disregard their technique as a pass blocker. When I see them just want to hurt dudes and punish dudes and put them on the sidelines, I love that about him. So and as an in-pass pro, he did only allow 10 pressures and 1 sack, but there's some difficulty there. He's shown some versatility. He's a guy who's kicked out to tackle for A&M at different times. I think he's played every spot but center, at least some snaps wise, not a ton. But I think he's strictly going to be a right guard in the NFL, a plug and play type right guard. a guy that you're going to get into your team and you're going to plug him in and say, hey, I've got my starting right guard for the next 10 years. That's why I'm pretty high on Reed Adams. I don't have concerns. Yes, he's older, but it's like that just means he's ready to play. Like when he gets drafted, he's ready to come in and play. I think he's got a chance to be like a late first round type of guy. He stays active, seeks work all the time. It's something I love to see in offensive linemen. I don't think he's the greatest athlete by any means. And the biggest thing this year that I want to see from him and why people are probably lower on him than I am, 11 fucking penalties. You can't have 11 fucking penalties. You can't have 11 penalties and sniff the first round, sniff the top 50. So he's got to cut that down.
You're talking about a penalty a game at that point.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. He's got to clean it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I honest to God, I think those come in. I think he just gets lazy at times, and he just wants to reach rather than move his feet and get over. I was definitely a lot harsher on him than you were, kind of in that regard. I take a look at. Oh, that'd be awesome. I take a look at Reed Adams and Caden Green. I'm lower on those guys for sure in comparison. But I know that's the one thing about Armaj Reed Adams that stands out is those penalties cannot be the way that you're playing the game. But the mentality, hey, I'm going to go and I am going to put your jaw into the back of your helmet every single snap. You can't teach that. And so, hopefully you can pull it back a little bit. He's got one more year to kind of prove where he's at. Yep. He did come off that injury, which I don't know if that's ultimately what made the decision for him to come back, or, if he didn't like where, he was at in terms of league evaluation. But I think that there's a lot of things that he has control over, and it's see what he does this year with that.
Yeah, I just like the nasty. And somebody was talking about Bengals specifically, no way the Bengals spend a first-round pick on him. Right now, I don't think he would go in the first with the penalties and everything. Coming off last season, second at the earliest, and that's if you're picking late second. That's when you'd start to consider the guy. But I'm kind of projecting that he'll get that cleaned up and maybe have a chance to work into the back end of the first. That's my hope with the player because I love how nasty he is. But I can admit it's a huge problem right now with the penalties.
Where do you feel about this, specifically interior, or if you want to just talk guards, because last year's center class was trash. No disrespect to Jared Wilson and my boy Jake Majors, but I think this center class, a lot of people will agree is a lot better than last year's.
There were so many guys for center specifically. I'll just say before your question, there's so many guys at center like Logan Jones. Gosh, I'm trying to think the Texas A&M to transfer kid that I thought would come out. There's so many guys at center that I thought could have came out last year that went back to school. So it is stacked. I agree with that. But continue about comparing it to last year mainly.
So the guard class, specifically the guards last year to this year, where do you feel these guys kind of – because Armaj Reed Adams is your guard one. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that kind of capped off, where do you feel about this class compared to last year?
I mean, I think last year was a better class for the guard specifically. I think center's better this year, but I think the guard class was deep. I mean, the Bengals got one of those two Georgia guys, but there was just a ton of pretty solid guards that I think are going to translate pretty quick in the NFL. And I wouldn't say there's a ton of them. I think there's a lot of question marks. Now, they all still have a season to prove it, but I don't see it anywhere near as good as last year for the guards, but I think it'll make up for it at center. But the thing is, statistically, on average, it is 6 centers get drafted for the entire draft class.
Correct.
So I'll be curious to see how it all shakes out with it, which is another reason I got Connor Liu, I think, with 2027, because I'm it is just so many dudes coming out at that position.
Yep.
How do you feel on that? Same question. How do you feel on the comparison?
There's not a Tyler Booker. I love Tyler Booker, wire to wire. There's a reason I think he went. There's a reason he went 11th overall, and you're not gonna get that. I think this year. Now I could be wrong. There's guys that we haven't talked about, and we might hit on at the end that I think could be risers. But I don't we don't have a today, a guy that I'm going to talk about I did Tyler Booker.
Well, and I would say a guard specific too, because you always have guys that like maybe this tackle moves to guard, but Booker was a guard, stayed at guard, and projected to be a guard.
He was a guard throughout, and it's just like kind of like like a Gray Zabel last year, or however you want to break down some of those guys that Will Campbell obviously looks like New England's playing him as a tackle, but question marks around that. I think last year's is better, especially on the top, but I think you still have enough depth in this group once you get to like that second, third tier where you could have a really close number of players going the top 100 from last year to this year.
Yeah, I mean, and if guys step up, so that's the thing. We're a year out. Chase Basantis, Emmanuel Pranone, there's so many. Vega Ione from Penn State, and you mentioned Roberts. DJ Campbell's played a lot of football at Texas.
Love DJ Campbell.
I think Ernest Green III, he's going to play right tackle, but I think he's one of those guys that's eventually going to be a guard. So, like Josh Thompson transferring to LSU from Northwestern. I do think, maybe there's still good, solid, day 2 into early day 3 depth at the guard position, but I'm with you. I don't think there's as many top guys. Like, I love Tate Ratledge. I love Tyler Booker. Like, those two specifically, I don't think there's anybody. I wouldn't say that either of these guys are, like, that I've had on this list. Reed Adams specifically as my number 1, I don't think compares to those guys.
No, I agree.
Either of them.
So, Xavier Chaplin comes in at number 6 for me. This is like when talk about Isaiah World being 6'8". Yeah, that's cool. He was 309. Xavier Chaplin says, "Here, hold my beer real quick. I might be 6'7", but 338. I have him.
Yeah, that's what I have too.
I think I heard he's like up to 349 now, which I'm not going to call that a for better thing, because I think the one thing about Chaplin is he's got to move better in space, and I don't think he does that with more mass on him. Ultimately, I want to see what he does at Auburn now. So he went to Virginia Tech for 3 seasons, I believe, and then this year he has just transferred to Auburn.
I've got him as a redshirt junior, so he still has eligibility, but he was there for 3.
Correct. And so, I want to see this dude in the Auburn system now. And once again, no offense to Virginia Tech and the ACC, but this is big time football that we're talking here. You see the guys before, like your Isaiah Worlds, like your Ethan Onion was transferring up to hit that competition. I think Chaplin, not as big as the jump up, but I think he made ultimately a good decision for him to kind of, prove that he is able to hang with the big boys. The biggest thing that I need to see from him this year is, can you pass block on an island? Can you not get an excess number of holding penalties? Can you keep the pressures to a minimum? And can you still continue to be a absolute mauler in the run game? Because I think that's the biggest calling card of him, is that he just throws guys around like they're small children when it comes to run blocking. I know Parker likes Chaplin a lot. I was talking with him about Chaplin when I started watching the film, and I fell in love with the mentality. I fell in love with, the play strength, but he's got to have that finesse. He's got to have that athletic portion of his game. However that comes about, whether it is just some work with agility drills or if he does have to lose some weight, regardless, I need to see that improve, or at least be where it was now that he's at Auburn, and just kind of continue to show that higher level competition. I'm still able to do the things that make me a really good prospect.
Yeah, I have him at O-tackle 15. Just the inconsistency for me as a pass blocker, with the feet, with the technique, with everything, the balance concerns, just some issues there that I hope he cleans up at Auburn. But definitely a guy with the size and pretty good athleticism at that size, that I think he could be a big riser this year. And a guy that not many people talk about is my O-lineman 6.
Okay.
Is Judd Bowery. So redshirt junior. And I think he might have the highest upside in this entire class at the tackle position. I don't love the size, but he's such a smooth mover. Coaches, scouts, everybody raves about his teammates. They rave about what kind of person, what kind of character he has, what kind of leader he is, what kind of person he is off the field. He's got really light feet. I think he's got a strong anchor, even at the size of 308 that he's listed. He's patient and control at all times as a pass blocker. Just looks like a pro already in pass protection for me. And this is a kid out of Boston College. I know they had another name I'm blanking on, the guy who got drafted last year in the second round by the Bears that was playing right tackle because Bowery was left tackle for Boston College. Yeah, Ozzie Trujillo, that a lot of people really liked. And he's playing on the right side because Bowery is just a stud on the left side. He's another guy I thought could have came out last year. I'm really high on him. I think he fires off the snap in the run game, but he's got to keep defenders out of his chest. He's not the longest guy. He's not the thickest guy. And I think that can give him problems at times. The more powerful, the top-end power guys can, he may have some struggles against them. But overall, I really like this guy. I'm higher on him the most, but it's one of those guys, an early my guy type of player is Judd Bowery from Boston College.
I didn't get a chance to watch him, and I'm typing it in right now because if he's offensive lineman number 6, offensive tackle number 6, then I got to get eyes on this guy. So definitely adding him to the watch list for the second whip through.
Yeah, and I got a couple guys that my next guy too that a lot of people don't love. So I could just be an idiot, but I don't think you're an idiot and watch him. And tell me what you think after you do watch him, because I really like him, because I really do think he could be a big riser, and I could end up even higher on this guy. I think he could push for first round. That's how I feel about this guy.
I remember watching BC last year and thinking that the left tackle, he looks pretty decent. Obviously, it was just like glancing moments when it doesn't go to the right side, but yeah, already like a first impression for me that I was a fan of. So I
need to know. Well, first off, I need to know why you hate Spencer Fano. Your O-lineman 5 is Spencer Fano from Utah. And this is the guy, spoiler alert, that I like a whole hell of a lot. He could end up being my O-lineman number 1. But Newt hates him and has him as O-lineman number 5. Spencer Fano from Utah. Tell me why you hate him so much.
I don't hate him. I think so. I have, and I'm going to spoil it a little bit. I've got the Utah Bros right together. Yeah. They're 4-5 for me, and I actually like Lomu a little bit better. And I think that they are both kind of like complementary to one another. So like Fano specifically, I think that he potentially is the best run blocker in this class. And it's just because of, number one, he's smaller in terms of like his listed measurables, 6'6", 302. He plays with strength that is way above that. And so when you combine the agility and quickness that he has with that strength and then an annihilation type mentality, all of those things just create, to me, a devastating run blocker. His feet are very, very quick. He's able to move into his kick slides and cover a lot of space extremely well. But the reason I have him at 5, even, as I'm listing these things off, I think that he has, in pass protection specifically, a susceptibility to inside moves. I don't think that with how he sets his anchor, it's like the greatest in the world, and he plays a lot of right tackle, which kind of helps him out with that vision for the quarterback. But I think that there's just some things in pass protection that I'd like to see him get better with. I talked about his agility and his short area quickness, but it still is a little surprising to me, even though I see him, on run blocking and his kick slides move very, very well, that he gets beat on inside moves. So I want to see that improve a little bit. And I want to see that anchor, the strength that he has in run blocking. I want to see it translate then to a little bit more firm as he's sitting there in, a power rush type situation. So Fanu comes in number 5 for me, just kind of for that devastating run blocker. Yeah, because I hate him. Because I hate him. Clip that, throw it up on the internet, let him tear me down.
I have Cage Casey at number 5, a guy who may ultimately kick into guard, Boise State offensive tackle, 6'5", 315, redshirt junior season. So another guy, there's a lot of these guys. Fano, Lomu, who were both have at 4 coming up, spoiler alert. But there's a lot of these guys that could go back to school at the O-line position. So as with a lot of players, but if you have a good enough season, you're going to come out. So we're going to cover you. He allowed only 6 pressures, 0 sacks last year. Obviously, those numbers sound great, but at the same point in time, what the hell is Boise State known for and what they do last season? They handed the ball to Ashton Genty and let him eat and do work. So obviously, he's a good run blocker too. But what I do like most, I think he's a consistent technician type of guy as a pass blocker for Boise State. Ton of experience. I do have some questions about his overall athleticism and the length, which is why he may kick into guard. I don't think he's the longest player. I'll be curious to see what his actual arm length is. Had an 86.9 pass block grade last year. Very patient and steady in pass protection, quick off the snap. But he's not the biggest people mover in the run game. He doesn't stand out blocking on the move and at the second level. I understand the concerns for him. He's just a player that I feel like is a pretty safe choice through summer scouting for me to toss on the list and mention. I like Cage Casey, but I need to see more. And I don't know how much more I'll see because Boise State, typically, I know they have games here and there, but they don't play the best competition a lot of times. And we could honestly say the same a little bit about Utah, which we might as we continue to talk about Utah, because both of us have Caleb Lomu at number 4, offensive tackle. But I do like Cage Casey. I don't want to shit on the guy. Just I was like,
he's your number 5.
Like, yeah.
Like, he sucks.
No, I think he's really good. I think he's patient as a pass protector. I just wonder if he'll ultimately be a guard in the NFL. But even if he is going to be, I think he'd be a high-level guard.
Yeah. I talked about World first. Do you want to take Lomu first?
Yeah, I can talk about Lomu. So I'll pop my graphic up that says he's my O-lineman 4, not Newt's. He actually is. But 6'6", 304, just a redshirt sophomore. So he redshirted. Fano is actually a true junior. So they both came in the same class. They're both very talented. But Lomu redshirted. And that season, Fano played left tackle. Well, they kicked Fano. And spoiler alert, I haven't talked about him yet. He's still even higher on my list. They kicked him to right tackle because Lomu is that damn talented that they want to get him on the field as a left tackle. So the 6'6", 304 is concerning, the size, and that's the same thing for both of them. But they don't really play like they're that small necessarily. Yeah. This is a guy with the high football IQ. I think he has really good traits in general with the excellent athleticism, proper strike timing, quick feet, natural kick slide. The functional strength obviously could improve a little bit, especially as a run blocker. He is not near the run blocker Fano is right now. He's much better in pass protection. But I like this kid. I like him a lot. I think both of these kids are really good. I don't know if he'll come out this season because he's still got, after this season, 2 years of eligibility if he wants it, which is scary to think.
Sophomore's nuts.
Yeah, redshirt sophomore. We're talking about him in our top 5 for this class. So what do you like about Caleb Lomu here?
I think the word that always sticks out to me is fluid. I think it's just he seamlessly, moves throughout whatever asset or facet of the game it is, whether it's his kick slides, him moving and run blocking, but he is such a fluid athlete. He seems extremely light on his feet. I think that it's kind of a good conversation to have between the two, because I think Fano he's also a good athlete, but everything with him is very quick, sharp, and he's moving his feet extremely fast and chopping his feet, where Lomu is just everything seems a lot more seamless. And I think it helps him a little bit more as a pass protector, which it makes sense. Like, Utah's offensive line right now makes a ton of sense when you talk about it through shaping your line through what your players, have as their best assets. Lomu being a better pass protector, in my opinion, you want him on the blind side. Fano being a better run blocker, you want to complement that on the right side. So I think that with it's really great to see kind of how those guys can play the position differently, but both be really, really strong and really effective. I got written down that I think he's got a strong anchor, good understanding of leverage, which is what helps him to be a really good pass protector. And the reach on him seems more than adequate to really hit the benchmarks that you'd like to see for a NFL tackle. So all in all, the pass protection is really what sells me with Lomu, that ability to be a true blindside tackle.
I think now is the best time to have the conversation. They did not face, neither of them, a lot of top-end competition from the edge. So that is certainly a concern. And I'm sure Utah's schedule, they probably don't face a ton of top-end edge players either again this season. So that is one concern I have. I think the players are really good, but it's like, how much have they been tested? How many freaks have they gone against? So what are your thoughts on that?
I think so. I'm actually kind of like out of just curiosity now. I'm pulling it up too. So, they played Arizona State, which, you're going to make college football playoffs and make that run like you did for a reason, Iowa State. But yeah, like that Big 12 is a little bit of kind of a
like where's the top edge that we've talked about for even as we get into defensive players next week? There's just a ton of guys from those schools.
It's not a guy that's there, correct? So I think ultimately I'd love to see them in one of those 3 or 4 off conference games hit up an SEC, a Big Ten team.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do. I'm sure that they just play the California school of like D3 whatever and just kind of get their shit kick game out of their way. But we'll see. I don't know. I think that ultimately these are 2 guys that if they can get in as a underclassman for like the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Bowl, this is like perfect opportunity for those guys.
All right, so they have Texas Tech on the schedule, so that is at least one. David Bailey and some of the transfers they have and things like that should at least, be a little bit of a test. But yeah, like UCLA, CP, I don't even know who that is. Wyoming, West Virginia, Arizona State, BYU, Colorado, Cincinnati, Baylor, Kansas State, Kansas. That's the schedule this upcoming season. So once again, I don't think a ton of like top end guys, but regardless, whoever's in front of you have to block them. You have to play well.
Spoiler, outside of Bailey, I haven't watched a player from any of those schools for an edge rusher.
Yeah. And UCLA, maybe they have somebody because they've had guys the last couple of years,
but
no one stands out, right?
I'll say they always have someone, so maybe they will.
Yeah, just not off the top of my head either that there is somebody. But next week, see, it gets weird, man. What is going on right now? Our number 4 was the same. Our number 3 is the same. And spoiler alert, our number 2 is the same. So I'll let you take.
Wait, whoa, hold the phone. Our number 2 is the same.
Yeah, our number 1. Yeah,
that means my offensive line number 1. You don't even have in your top 10.
Yeah, I hate him.
The disrespect right now.
He is like a 12 or 13 offensive tackle for me, and I don't hate him. I like him. He's okay. He's good. He's that's still like fringe day 2 territory for these tackles. Man. But that'll be a conversation to have when we get there. But
we'll definitely be having that conversation.
Talk about Caden Proctor from Alabama, big monstrous motherfucker.
The conversation of like, the mountain men continues. 6'7", 369. Is that what you have him down as?
I have to go back to that page. Yeah, I got 360, but yeah, he's a huge motherfucker.
360, okay. So he's an enormous human being. And
depends on the day. 370, 360.
Yeah, who knows? So let's talk about the pros really quick. The frame obviously makes him challenging. Like it's imposing. It is, and we'll talk about the challenges of that frame too. But it does make him extremely challenging. He's built really well in his lower half, so it's not like he's extremely top heavy. I think he's built really well throughout. I think he wears the weight. Like if you told me he was 370, I would say I think of a DeJuan Jones.
It's not super sloppy. Yeah, it's not super sloppy.
It was sloppy on DeJuan Jones. And
I still don't like it. I still don't like that size.
I don't like it either, but he wears it better than that. So I think ultimately, it's going to be the biggest conversation around him, but it creates a very imposing player, imposing frame. He's a brick wall in pass protection. Like, you're not running through this guy. You have to be some sort of a finesse, speed, or have a good counter move in your bag. I saw one rep where he got beat from a bull rush, and it was his balance, not anything where it was a sheer match of strength. I think his hands have an extremely strong punch to them. Like, he knocks guys off their balance and really will set a strong tone in both pass protection and in run blocking. Now, the issue with all of this is he is 6'7", 370. Like, you cannot be that big and continue to have, number one, a long career, like health-wise. Number two, I think one of the biggest things that you see with him is his conditioning is not where it needs to be. You see him in the fourth quarter of games.
Bill just mentioned that too in the chat, Bill Sparks.
Yep. And in the fourth quarter of games, like, he's noticeably a step slower, which is where that speed rusher is even more going to be able to take advantage of that. And so, like, I have written down, beyond its size limits, agility, counter moves can get him. And like, he still needs to do things to clean up, like, his technique. Like, he's not a perfect prospect yet in terms of that. He's 2-year starter at Alabama. As a true freshman, he started, which alone is impressive.
And he had a cup of tea at Iowa in the offseason, was like, no, I'm going back to Bama. So
yeah, no, that
never played
that
for
and
him.
The conversation for another day. Actually, don't mind it as much as I did when it happened, but he needs to clean up some technique pieces. But his body, his conditioning and all those things, I think that's going to be the difference between him being OT1 and like an OT5 even.
French second rounder. And I'm going to be honest, like, so when the process first started, I had him as O-tackle 5, O-tackle 6. Like, probably watched a game or two that wasn't his best. Very up and down throughout the season, to be honest. He actually played some of his best football when he came back from an injury where he missed a game or two. But then the more I watch, I'm like, the size, the length. He's an absolute mauler. So, like, just like I liked Armaj, Reed, Adams.
Yep, he is.
Obviously, I'm going to like Proctor. He looks to punish dudes. And he's a good athlete at that size, like an overall athlete. But there's a difference between being a good athlete at that size and having the foot speed, the lateral agility, which kind of goes in with the technique, the balance, the things that you talk about with an offensive tackle that you don't always see being great from him. And I think if he lost weight, all those things would improve. The conditioning, the durability to hold up for a full season.
Correct.
All of it. Like, all the concerns I have about him, if he dropped let's just say he's 369. If we can get this guy down to 345, and that's still a large man, but 345, I think it would still clean up a lot of his issues and help with his conditioning and help overall durability, help with the lateral quickness, help with the foot speed. But he is good. When you get him out in space, like the way he gets out in space and identifies targets, gets in front of them, locks them out, he is excellent at that. He's a really good athlete once you get him moving. But it's just, some of that lateral agility, I think, to clean up. And I'm not saying he's bad at it because he'll shut dudes down, but a lot of it's the length, it's the sheer size. But I'm in the middle with him. Even though I have him at 3, I'm with you. I think he could be first tackle taken. I think he could fall to the very end of the first, early second round. It's a big season for him.
Did you get a chance to watch the Michigan tape for him?
I watched 2 or 3 games. I can't even remember what all ones they were. I feel like I tried to watch some of the ones later in the year where he was good. I feel like LSU and somebody else, but I didn't watch. Oh, no, I did not watch Michigan because I heard that was the one at the end of the year where he was awful in the bowl game, right?
It was the bowl game. He was, and so
I didn't watch
two things go into it. Number one, the conditions for that game. Like, they had a freaking typhoon hit middle of the game, which is absolutely insane. And so, like, obviously for a bigger guy and trying to have that, like, you try to plant his foot and that's not going to go well. But Josiah Stewart, Derek Moore, how do those guys win? They are speed rushers. Like, they are exploding out of a cannon. I think that really that was a game that I saw him, he's going up against these guys snap after snap, and they're trying to get around the arch, and they're really pushing him in terms of, having to move as far as possible on every single passing snap. Beyond that, Bama's playing from behind too, and they're having to throw the ball late in the game. It's a tough situation, and that's one where, like, once you see those guys that are like these speed rushers, it really took a toll on him, in my opinion. And obviously conditions aren't great for that, being, really wet, even when the sun came out and the field is soaked still. But it was really, really challenging for him, given the way that those guys played.
Yeah, we'll get into where some conditions also happen, Miami, Florida, at different times. But Francis Mauigoa, both of our O-linemen number 2 here. I've seen some talk about him moving to guard. I don't see it. Yeah, he's played right tackle. Yeah, he's not the biggest guy. I got him at 6'6", 315. He's way too good of an athlete to consider moving to guard. I think he's a pure tackle. If he's a right tackle, fine. I would love to see him play left tackle. He hasn't done it, but I think he could do it. And I like Mauigoa. So what are your thoughts on Francis Mauigoa? True junior also. I
like Mauigoa. I don't, 315 I'm fine with. I think like that 310, like when you hit that 310 mark, we're good. And guys wear their weight different ways, and they play, different ways. I think that there's, baseline. I want to see a 3 at the beginning of the number, but after that, I've seen guys be successful at 305. I'm not saying that that's the norm, but like it can happen. 315, I'm totally fine with. I think he's built really well. I think the athleticism shows its way through. I've got written down he's a great mover, always able to keep his feet under him, matches defenders extremely well. Great strength at that size. The length, I don't have any concerns with it. Like, I think the frame, the mass, everything about his build is what I want to see.
Seems like, but I'm wondering if it's length, why some people mention guard, because it's been some of the national, like,
I don't see it. Like, to me, it looked like he had good enough length, and maybe my eyes just aren't as good as they need to be, but this is why I think I like Mauigoa so much, is the use of hands. I think he has the best hands in this class. He is a strong punch, maybe not the strongest, but he understands how to use his hands independent of one another. He gets hands on defenders quickly. He knows how to sustain blocks. He knows how to keep his inside hand open for the counter move, and just everything about it is extremely refined. He's another player who's a true starter his freshman year. Coming in, like you said,
I thought that he definitely took a jump last year. I still think there's a little more there, but it definitely took a jump last year. And this is a 5-star recruit. He was like a top 5 overall recruit coming out, day 1 starter, as you're talking about. So much to like with the athleticism. I'll let you continue.
No, and I mean, those are kind of the pieces. Like, he's so well refined, and all of the things that you want to see, that you expect to see. He's out of IMG Academy, and you see that right away. You see the 5-star, you see the pedigree, you see the brother that won the NFL last year. All of those things, you're like, okay, what are we looking for here? And
Newport
Westons.
Gotta love it, Crip.
Just completely got me. That was a good one. God, I don't even know where I was. He's good.
Pedigree. He's good. He's good at football. Francis Mauigoa, coming out of IMG Academy, 5-star recruit. The pedigree is what you were talking about.
Yeah. So what do you think about Mauigoa?
Another guy could clean up penalties, but another Feldman freak list guy on the offensive line, an excellent athlete. We talked about the pedigree, the 5-star. I think he's got a quality anchor strength. I think he's improved that footwork and hand usage. I think he's strong. He's powerful hands. He's got good pop in those hands to knock guys back when he needs to. I think he's going to take another jump this year, going into his 3rd year as only a true junior as a starter. Kind of like Proctor. These are young guys who's had to cut their teeth as true freshmen in college football at big programs, and they got better last year, and they're going to get better this year. It's very easy projections, yet neither of us have either of them as our O-tackle 1, which is kind of crazy. I do think he mirrors really well too. Like with that athleticism, like you just see him all over these guys. And to have that as an offensive tackle is key and elite. And you don't like, that's why I'm like, there's no world where I would switch him into guard. But I've heard that floated out there. And that's why I was talking about it. Cause I'm like, what the fuck are these people seeing that I'm not like, because I'm like, this guy, he's just too damn good as an offensive tackle. And he's still young and he's still improving. And the athleticism, the foot speed, the anchor strength, I'm like, this is a damn good player. And if it's at right tackle, I don't give a shit if it's at left tackle or right. Let him be a right tackle and let him be a Pro Bowl right tackle. Let him be the next Lane Johnson in the NFL. Because that's what it could end up happening if he plays right tackle in the NFL. This kid has every trait you want in a tackle. I love him. I love him, and he's still not my number one. And he's not your number one. I will say, I think if you ask me to bet on any of these guys to have who do I think has the opportunity to have the best career? I think it's Francis Mauigoa. I think he's still got more that he has to do, in my opinion. Like my OT one, my lineman one, I think has done those things. I think he's way more pro ready. But man, the potential traits, traits. The word traits, and this guy screams traits. Yeah.
Yep. So
I love Mauigoa, and that's what I'm like, man. If there's I'm with you because like if there's one guy I think, okay, this offensive tackle is going top 15, top 20 for sure. I think it's Mauigoa to this far out. And you got to remember, Cam Ward was his quarterback, and Cam Ward went number 1 overall and all these things. But Cam Ward loved to scramble. He loved to extend plays. So you're having to block forever. You got Carson Beck now, and good God, you may have to block even longer just because that guy fucking sucks.
Never miss an opportunity to shit on a quarterback.
To shit on Carson Beck, I'm never going to miss an opportunity. I hope he's good this year because he burnt me, man. I think that's part of it, I was with everybody else. He's a top 5 quarterback entering the year, and I see that a lot of duck downs and this, that, and then he sucked complete ass. He sucked assholes last year. So Carson Beck, you're on watch, man. And also, he just has a very fucking punchable face. Like Carson Beck has a really punchable face. I just want to say that. But we'll move on to our O-lineman 1. And I'll go first because I got Spencer Fano at 1, a guy that we've talked about. You talked about. You had him at 5 because you absolutely hate this guy.
Yeah, talk about hate. We'll be doing that in a minute.
6'5", 304. I think he's a fantastic athlete. You talk about athletes. He's a better athlete than Mauigoa. He's a better athlete than every guy in this class. This guy moves like a tight end out there. Like at tackle, he moves like a tight end. I've seen people say that about Lomu, and he moves well too. But Fano excites the hell out of me. And how aggressive, how fierce, tough, like the mindset of like attacking. Like he fires off that snap and he wants to punish you, especially in the run game. And he's better in the run game, which then leads to over aggressiveness as a pass blocker. So I understand that. Sometimes you got to be like, hey, I'm pass blocking. I got to simmer down a little bit. I can't just kill this guy in front of me. But I would rather have to teach out aggressiveness than have to try to teach a guy aggressiveness.
Okay, there's a theme here. They don't
have it. Yeah. So, yes, there's definitely a theme, and that's probably why he's my number 1 and why I like Proctor and I liked Armaj Reed Adams to put in my top 10 as a guard prospect. I want guys that look to punish dudes on the offensive line. Physical, mean, like nasty motherfuckers. That's the guy I want. Like if I'm building a team, I'm like, get me that nasty dude right there. I want him on my team. So I love Fano. And you mentioned the run blocking and 93.6 grade. It's just insane. And it's like, he's not a bad pass blocker. His grade was still a 79. He's still solid as a pass blocker, but that's a conversation we already had about they don't face the best competition, the best edges going against those guys. So I do have some concerns about that. I would like to see him obviously put on 10 more pounds. Get at least 6 pounds, right? Let's get over that 310 you were talking about. Let's get to 310 for Spencer Fano. But I think him and Lomu have put on weight because these guys have been listed at like 280 and 290 at different points in their careers. So I think they've worked on it. But I love how nasty he is. He's already played 1,400 snaps going into his true junior season. So tons of experience, just a lot I like there. And I like him so much that if the NFL sees what I'm seeing, and they probably won't because I'm a dumbass, but I would take this guy in the top 5 and not think twice about it. That's how much I like Spencer Fano. So that's why it's no knock on Malagoa, Proctor, anybody else that's not number one on my list. Lomu, any of them. I think they're good, really good players too. But I love Spencer Fano and the upside he still has along with what he's already shown. I'm like, man, this is a guy that could be a Hall of Fame offensive tackle for me. That's how I feel about Spencer Fano.
And let me put a little perspective too. Like, I think when it's all said and done from a summer big board, I'll still probably have Fano as a top 20, maybe overall 25 player. I just think this tackle class is that damn good. Like, I think all of the guys we're talking about.
Sometimes, Ryan. Sometimes.
So I'm not like, the 5-spot difference in my rankings, get that, dude. But like all of these guys are just extremely good. And like I get it where you kind of
Amarius Mims, who the Bengals drafted, was my O tackle 5. The talent was still incredible. He was still a top 20 pick. Like, that's the thing. When we're talking about these O linemen, especially when we lump all these O linemen together, honestly, we're expecting all these guys to have a chance to be first rounders. Everybody we talk about today, we expect to have a chance to end up as a first round pick. And if not, maybe they're day 2, especially the undervaluing, Parker, of guards and centers. Maybe they're day 2 guys that we mentioned, but
agreed.
It really is how it is. I love Spencer Fano, though. I love him so much. I love him. I would marry him if I could. Because it's like, if you love him so much, why don't you marry him? I would. This guy seems fantastic. Got the flow on the hair, too. He also has 4 uncles and a brother that play or played in the NFL. So they're like,
insane
football family. Dude is just, he's a football guy.
Was his dad was the only sibling that didn't play, correct?
Yeah, and I'm sure his dad just must be like a fucking monster. You know? Like, he's got a brother and him, and then the 4 uncles. Like, come on, man. That's a football family. Suck it, Arch Manning. Never miss a chance to shit on a quarterback somehow. Let's talk about your O-lineman 1. I got to scroll way down here to see exactly
a guy you absolutely hate.
I hate him. So I have him O-tackle 14. O-tackle 14, Newt. 14.
Oh, man. Is he a top 20 offensive lineman for you even?
I mean, yeah, because a lot of these tackles would be. There's not many guards or centers but
all right.
And, hey, 6'7", 329, entering his 4th year as a starter. There's a lot I like. Now, that length, and maybe I need to shut the fuck up because look at Bernard Raymond and all these guys getting paid. The guys getting paid.
I think that's the one knock. The one knock I have against him.
32-inch, like a 32 flat.
Is the length. And I'm praying that he is just hanging by a bar this entire season every night to go to bed, and he can just find a way to hit that mark. Because the 6'7", like, man, like if you see guys 6'7", I don't want to worry about the length, and unfortunately, I have to. But like, so with Tiernan,
and I would love him as a guard. That's the thing, like. Yeah, he's 6'7". You know what I mean? He's 6'7". Like, I don't love 6'7" guards.
He's taller for a guard, so. I see that, and you know, you put the length aside, which I'm going to stand by this until confirmed measurables come out. And I know that we already got some like spring ones in there, but I want like combined measurables to come out. I'm going to stand by it until then, and then maybe I'll shut the hell up. But
you got a while then. You can beat the Caleb Tiernan drum for a long time.
I can pound the drum for it. His pass protection is unreal. Like, the way that he has mastered the technique, the footwork, and he combines that with just, I'm not saying he's the best athlete out here. Like, probably all the guys, maybe minus Proctor, are better athletes at the position, but he's got enough athleticism. He's got enough speed, plus the technique, plus the play strength, plus just a high IQ for the game that he's so damn good when it comes to pass protection. He played left tackle.
Not to cut it, but to cut in for a second. I agree. Like, if you play under control and you're a high football guy, IQ guy, and you've watched tape on these guys and you study and you do all these things, and Northwestern's a very good school, you can make up for a little bit of that lack of athleticism. And I do agree with you on that. Even though he's my O tackle 14, it's early, and I could end up with him a lot higher. Like, honestly, I've got Cage Casey at 5. and they're similar players.
Yeah.
To be fair to me, but this guy's 6'7", 329. He's got the size, just not the length. Just not the length.
Not the length. Or stands allegedly he doesn't have the length. But I think that I think that he just does everything right. Like he's a really great pass protector. He's a plus run defender. I'm not saying that he's like a no in run defense, but he's a plus run defender. He's going to get the job done. He's gonna, be a good enough run blocker that he's going to be able to make a hole. He's got the play strength to do so. He always understands, once again, like the IQ, how to put himself in an advantageous situation. If he's on a double team, where does he need to be to really seal off that gap? If he has, maybe a little bit slower of a player, if he's a little bit slower than a player, how can he get to a spot where he can really maximize his potential to, seal off a gap? And I just think that it speaks so much to him and how he realistically is going to win at the next level. But it's the polish, it's the IQ, it's the, above average size, athleticism, and you put all that together, he's the most pro-ready player, in my opinion, of all of the offensive linemen. I don't think his ceiling is as high as I would say maybe a Mauigoa, as even like a Lomore Fano. I don't think his ceiling is as high as those guys. But I think that where he is right now, what I'm getting is a higher level player because of the snaps he's put in, because of the experience that he has.
And you're talking about a fourth-year starter, so it's a guy who's older, who's been around, who should be more pro-ready than these guys. And maybe a bit of my list is more I'm projecting another step for a lot of these guys. And them to right, for sure. But I also understand being like, well, this guy's shown it, and he's just rock solid. And for offensive line play, as a Bengals fan, trust me, you would take average, let alone rock solid, every day of the damn week.
So, yeah.
The kids are fired up today. Kids are fired up. Man.
They're having a good time. So
exactly, dude. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, trust me, man. Derek's kids always came in on the show. Doesn't bother me one bit at all.
I love it.
I promise you. So Blake
Hit
Miller.
Up the rundown?
Yeah, it's fat. Like, I'll try to do it fast. Going on Iceman show for everybody wanting Bengals talk at 5:30. But Blake Miller, Clemson, 6'6", 315, played a ton of football, durable, quick feet. Another guy, 4-year starter. There's some veterans here, and I had him at tackle 8.
Clemson's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on him, but that's a lot to hang your hat on.
Yeah, can he take the step that we just keep expecting him? Because right now it's like this guy could be a day 3, or is he going to be that top 50 player everyone keeps thinking he's going to be during summer scouting for the last 2 years, and it just hasn't quite happened.
Correct.
Onionwa from Ohio State, transfer via Rice, just a massive human. We'll see what the body looks like this year. Another dude, finisher. He's played left and right tackle both. Probably going to play left tackle for Ohio State. Drew Shelton, a lot of people like. Another guy that's a little undersized, 6'5", 308 is what I have him as. But a great athlete. I think he could kick in and play some guard as well. Maybe his best position in the NFL. Didn't have the best season last year. Gave up 18 pressures and 2 sacks. But he's played almost 1,800 snaps. So another veteran player. And Penn State's going to play a lot of football this year. I don't see a world where they don't make the college football playoff. Something badly happen if they don't, because there's too much talent on that team. Jennings Dunker, 6'5", 315, Iowa. Another guy who could end up sliding into guard, but I like this guy. 90.2 run block grade, good pad level, blocks on the move well in the second level. May move inside the guard, but I like him. Right? Yes.
Best mustache and the
passes the vibe check. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's awesome. I like that guy a lot. I think ultimately if he did slide in to guard, you're talking about, man, like a top
Pro Bowl.
It could be like
easily, yeah.
He's really good. I got him off offensive tackle number 9 right now. Obviously run blocking is off the charts for him, like you mentioned. Can he do it another year and build some consistency? But man, if he slid into guard, I think this guy would be just absolutely tearing it up in there.
Yeah, can we see him as a pass blocker more? Can Mark Gronowski throw the ball a little bit for Iowa?
Iowa would have to throw the ball more than 6 times a game.
Like, can we actually see that so we can maybe get a fuller evaluation on this guy's ability as a pass blocker? I got Monroe Freeling as my O-tackle 12. 6'7", 315, Georgia. Hasn't been a full-time starter, like a high school basketball player, limited experience, but they were playing him down the stretch. There's some really bad reps on tape. Like, I clipped some stuff up of him the other day. I never clip up the bad stuff. I just don't.
Right.
I'm not going to do that unless they piss me off. If you piss me off, then I'm going to. Carson Beck, I'm going to clip up.
Carson Beck just littering.
Carson Beck, just the only one that gets bad snaps. But I think this kid has a ton of potential with the length, the athleticism. It's a pure projection to have him high on this list, but I like Monroe Freeling. Austin Barber, another guy from Florida. You talked about Jake Slaughter at center. 6'6", 322, redshirt senior, came back this year. I thought he could have been, maybe a fourth round type of guy last year. Came back, a guy that could jump his way up. You got any thoughts on Barber or Freeling or any of those guys?
I haven't gotten a chance to see any of those guys, so no, I don't have any thoughts that I could weigh in on.
Yeah, and then I have Tiernan and I have Chaplin, and you covered both of them. Trey Zune the third, Texas A&M. His fourth year as a starter in the SEC. May ultimately be a guard, but he's been a good player. Like, I like him and thought he would have came out last year. Riley Mahlman from Wisconsin. So that's your squad. You like him? I mean, arm length, team leader, powerful run blocker. The pass pro, not the best.
I'm just afraid it's gonna be like Jack Nelson 2.0, where it's like, yeah, this guy is like he's good, but he ends up being like a late day 3 selection.
Got you. Brian Parker, their second from Duke, only allowed 10 pressures, 0 sacks last year, so that's another guy to keep an eye on. Micah Pettis, man, big sumbitch. I think he transferred, but I don't have that down. He was at Ole Miss. Okay. I think he transferred, but I'm not sure. Maybe he's still at Ole Miss. Alex Harkey's transferring to Oregon from North Texas. Great athlete, position versatile, could end up as a guard. That's a player to keep an eye. Howard Sampson, man, I hated his fucking tape. So to shit on a guy, he's big. He's a mauler in the run game, but he sucked in pass pro. He's transferring to Texas Tech from North Carolina, so I'll toss out his name. J.C. Davis, a guy I think came from New Mexico, but last year he was at Illinois. He's going to be at Illinois again this year. I think he's good hand usage, finishing mentality. P.J. Williams, SMU, quick speed, over 2,000 snaps played. Elijah Pritchard has played for Alabama, but he hasn't played well. He's going to Nebraska. Can he have a good season at right tackle? He was a highly regarded recruit, plays with a wide base. Monroe Mills. Monroe Mills, Ryan Sparks. I have it. He's right here at 25.
He's right there.
He's a captain. He only allowed 7 pressures.
I was just going to say Pritchard will cap off me watching the offensive line for the Bama-Georgia game 5 times. And it's absolutely – Dale, I've watched that game. I've tweeted about it. I've probably watched that game, no joke. I don't know, like 2 dozen times, 3 dozen times.
I get it. Dude. I
gotta watch Pritchard, and it's like, I will have watched now all 5 of the offensive linemen for Alabama in that game.
That's watching it right, in my opinion, because I do the same thing. I don't want to watch.
You can't focus.
Yeah, I got to focus on this guy. My focus is directly on this guy, and then I got to watch it again to watch another guy because I'm not paying attention. But the thing with Mills, and I really did like his tape, but he got injured in spring camp. He's supposed to miss all of this season, and he's already an older guy. So that's what sucks about Monroe Mills, Ryan. I love the tape, but I've dropped him down my board. He would have been a little higher, but he's going to miss all this season. He's already older. Does he go back to school? What's he do? That's such a terrible situation for him. I got Tristan Lee from, or Lay, however you want to say it, from Clemson, the left tackle, 6'6", 315, an athletic guy. Didn't love his tape, but can he improve? We'll see. Good athlete, so maybe. A guy that a lot of people are higher on, and I cannot pronounce his name, Fa'amo.
I think you said it pretty well. Yeah, Bill Sparks is really high on him.
He's good at pronouncing names, Bill Sparks, and giving comments.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he puts time into it. Yeah, no, I think he's like, I want to say like OT 6 or offensive lineman 6 for Bill.
The transfer into Wake from Washington State. He's already played 1,800 snaps. I don't even know if he played football until late in high school, or so. I know there was something about him that he was kind of late coming into all that, and maybe he played another position. But there's a lot to like there with his profile for sure.
Absolutely.
Fernando Carmona moving to guard this year at Arkansas, so we'll see how he does. I just kind of had him on this
how
list.
many ankles he can step on.
Carter Smith, Indiana, position versatile, team leader, durable. Nolan Rucci, 1 penalty in his entire career. That's like, man, could you give some of that to Armaj Reed Adams? Like,
yeah, right.
Teach him your ways.
Split with him a little bit.
And he played this Penn State right tackle, played his best football in the playoffs. So if he can carry that momentum over, he's a guy who could certainly rise from where I have him. There's other guys. I'll mention 2 names. There's so many, but I'll mention 2 names that I have in 2027, but with good years could come out. Trevor Gooseby from Texas, because he's got just ridiculous traits. And then Amal Wagner from Notre Dame, who needs to put on some weight, but he's been very good for them. Anybody else you want to mention or talk about?
Amal Wagner's number 10 for me, like OT 10.
Yeah, I got him in 2027, so like I haven't done that full evaluation. And if he's having a good season, he's going to jump in. And that's what I've heard is like, regardless of the weight, he's a guy that will be high on.
Yeah, so I liked him. I got to watch more players to kind of get a better sense. You mentioned Ernest Green III.
For guard. I got him at guard.
I think he'll end up being a guard. Trey Beyblade
or whatever. Beyblade.
Yeah,
he hasn't really played, right? He hasn't really played.
Right. So I got a couple of these guys. He's going to be a guy that's like a projection guy. Definitely could be a 2027 guy really easily.
Yeah, I've got him in 2027 too.
And then who I at this point almost for sure will be a 2027 guy, Charles Jagusa or Jagasaw. Just with the injured accident. Yeah, so he was lined up to. I don't even know if he was going to be a tackle for them because they already had their offensive tackles with Wagner, and then, God, who's the left tackle? I can't remember.
I can't either.
So Jagasaw came in for him in the college football playoffs because there's an injury. I don't even know if he was going to be playing tackle. I thought he might even be potentially playing guard this year. Then he had the accident. I don't even know if he'll play this year, and if he does, it's going to be obviously kind of a throwaway year for him. So I think he's a 2027 guy.
Do you have Ryan Baer? Like Ryan Baer, I think he's Pittsburgh. So I have him with 2027 just because he's a junior. I just put him there mainly because I haven't watched him, but he's a guy, he's like a redshirt junior. So I've seen him on some lists, a guy I need to get eyes on.
I don't. You want me to run through just some interior guys?
Run through some more names you got. Yeah, I didn't do any interior, so run through some of those.
So Basantis, who I think is going to be kind of a hot name in this cycle. I think he'll probably be like top 5 guard. Same thing with DJ Campbell. Both those guys will be flirting with that. Logan Jones, love him. Really excited about him. I wish he would have come out last year almost. Helped that class out.
Yeah, Iowa center.
Ipani Lalu.
I got him 2027 Oregon.
Yep. So he's true junior guard center. I think he's got enough experience where I could see him coming out potentially. But he's true junior. So you never know there. Bryce Foster, really like him at center. Liked him a lot actually.
That's who I was trying to think of earlier was Bryce Foster, transferred from A&M, played at Kansas last year.
So it was funny. Him and Armand Rage Adams did this because Reed Adams started at Kansas and then went to Texas A&M and then vice versa. I like Bryce Foster a lot. Big thrower. I think shot put guy. Holds the 5th best shot put ever at Texas A&M. So you love seeing that. Let's see. Telek Lockett. Big shout out to him really quick. Preseason all Sun Belt. Team came from Louisiana. God, I can't remember. Louisiana Monroe plays now at Texas State. So he's a fun guy. Want to give a shout out to him. TJ Shanahan, I watched on accident. Texas A&M, now he's at Penn State. I think it'll be fun there. You mentioned Emmanuel Pregnon, and then just a couple more names. Birchmeyer hasn't played really at all. Alex Birchmeyer, Penn State. Roderick Kearney for Florida. I think he'll be playing right tackle this year. Hasn't really played at all, but a fun name. And then Taron Tayo, and then
you gotta say it for Ryan Sparks. Yeah, playing at Cincinnati.
Right? Yep. And then Paolo Gennarelli for Army. He was an All-American last year, third team All-American. Honestly, kind of surprised this guy's not getting a little more buzz because, obviously Army football, a little bit of a odd situation with the teams that they end up playing and the level of competition, but a fun guy nonetheless. So those are the guys I have for interior.
Yeah, man. So many names. And so next week, we talked about doing D. I think we got to break D line up. I think we got to break it up. I think we got to do edge. We'll do edge next week, and then we'll try to get to D tackle after. Because there's just so many guys I want to talk about,
both of those classes, they're so good. And there's a little bit of crossover for maybe 2 or 3 players where you're like, but they're both.
Mainly just when I look at edge, so just spoiler alert, my 15 through 11, we won't even really talk about when we do a top 10, but it's Gabe Akas, Kenyatta Jackson Jr., Patrick Payton, R. Mason Thomas, and Derek Moore. And I really like all 5 of those players, So
I'll tell you right now, we'll be talking about Gabe. We'll be talking about Gabe Akas for sure. We'll be talking about him.
And Patrick Payton's a guy who, that's one clip I haven't put out, but I clipped up the other night. If he gets back to 2023 form, that game against Duke is specifically the one I clipped up, and I'm just like, this guy is such a freaking monster.
Agreed.
He just had a down year, and he's transferring to LSU from Florida State. I hope it goes well. We're almost an hour and a half in. I got 3 minutes till I'm on the Iceman show. If you want to see me tune in, rum drunk, talking Bengals, I'll be on with Iceman. But Newt, I appreciate it so much. We got 176 live viewers. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in. And we'll be back next Wednesday at 4, unless we got to change that up. But talking edge rushers next Wednesday at 4. Appreciate y'all. I hope you guys all have a fantastic Wednesday evening.